Hey, welcome back, podcast friends. And in this podcast, we've been asked a lot. We did a podcast earlier on things that we ate, so we've been asked a lot of questions more about that. So we'll go a little bit more into this because the main thing is we do not want you making this any harder than you have to. It really is not that hard. It's very, very simple how to eat. And you don't have to go buy all these special foods and all that. It's nothing like that. It's really just getting back to eating like what we used to eat back, before the 1960s, 1970s is all we're trying to say. Because the difference is people think now that it doesn't matter what you put in your mouth. Just as if you're hungry, just put something in there to keep you from not being hungry. And that couldn't be any further from the truth. The main reason you're hungry is because your body needs nutrients. That's why it makes you hungry. And there's different things that we do that block that hunger signal, or block a satiety center, so it makes us hungry all the time. So what we want you to realize the types of food that makes you hungry all the time. It gives you no nourishment whatsoever, so you're not giving your body the nutrients. It doesn't stimulate any of your satiety centers, the things that our body automatically has to make us feel full. There are the main foods that people eat nowadays is that type of food. It's basically it's pure toxins, and it's manufactured so you just keep eating. You're hungry all the time because food companies are a business. They have shareholders. They need to make lots of money, and they need to make sure their shareholders happy. And that's how they do it. They give you food, they give you no nutrients, and make you extremely hungry constantly. And that's why we see all the diseases and all the medications that we see nowadays. I mean, don't you think? I mean, that's
Yeah.
the biggest reason. So the big thing that we want you to do is realize that what we want you to eat the things that don't have toxins in it and just has nutrients in it. Because the three main things that causes all the diseases and all the medication and everything, there's three main columns. That's when you have high inflammation all throughout your body, which is caused from basically from fructose, which is in sugar and high fructose corn syrup, and it's also in all your seed oils. All these seed oils are extremely inflammatory to your body. The next one is insulin resistance. So keeping your insulin levels high for long periods of time. That's how you get insulin resistance. That's how you get obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure. Everything comes from keeping your insulin levels high. And I've already did a podcast that talked all about if you want your answer to health in one question or in one sentence is keep your insulin levels low. So insulin is important, and then it goes into sugar because they put sugar. The food manufacturers put sugar in everything, and this is so toxic for so many reasons. But that's one because it's your sugar, it's your glucose, all carbohydrates, which means plant-based foods. So all plant-based foods are made out of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are all made out of glucose. That's the basic building block. So anytime you eat a plant-based food, you're putting glucose in your body, and glucose is what raises your insulin levels. And that's how, when you do this for decades, 1, 2, 3, 4 decades, and you keep your insulin levels high because of the type of food that you eat all the time, that's when you get insulin resistance, and that's when all your diseases start. So that's all we're saying. As we go through this, just remember that's all we're saying. Stay away from the things that are toxic and eat the things that are natural.
Right. So that's the middle of the grocery store.
Yep.
And that's anything pretty much with a barcode, or not a barcode necessarily, but
Ingredient list.
thank you, an ingredient list.
Yeah.
So you can have some things that have ingredient lists, but you should be able to read it, and it actually has food items that
Right.
you know what they
Things
are.
that you know. Because if you don't recognize something on an ingredient list, chances are it's a chemical, because that's really all man-made food is. It's just a bunch of chemicals.
Right. Yeah.
So shopping the perimeter, is that what you're
Mhm.
going to say?
Well, yeah, shop around the perimeter of the grocery store so things are kept cold, frozen. You got your vegetables are over there, and dairy, eggs, meat, and that's where
Yeah.
you should be shopping.
Yeah, that's the main thing. If you shop at a grocery store at all for food, I mean, and that's perfectly fine. If that's what you could do, that is fine, as long as you stick with real meat, real fruit, and real vegetables. Just stay out of the middle aisles of the grocery store, because that's where you get your nutrients. The nutrients your body needs. It needs amino acids. You have to eat them. Your body doesn't make 9 of them are essential. That comes from protein. Okay. You can get protein from animal meat, and you can get protein from vegetables and fruits. The only thing is with vegetables and fruits, there's not a lot of protein, so you have to eat a lot of them in order to get the protein you need. And when you do that, you're also increasing the amount of carbohydrates you're putting in your body. So again, that's going to increase your glucose levels and insulin and everything else. It's fine, just don't want to do it very much. The other thing you need are fatty acids, extremely important. Our body has to have them, so we have to eat them. Again, if you eat plants, fruits, and vegetables, there's not a lot of fat in those. If you eat fruit, like avocados or coconuts or olive oil. Those are the good. Fruit oils are fine. Those are good. Those are healthy for you. It's the vegetable oils, the seed oils. Those are the ones that are extremely toxic to you. But the healthiest is animal fat. Animal fat by far is going to be the healthiest. It's already got all the fatty acids you need. It's got the amount that you need. It's in the right ratio of omega-3 to omega-6. So again, all we're trying to say is eat real food. When you eat man-made food, it is nothing but toxins. You have the seed oils that we just talked about, and seed oils, in order to get the oil out of a seed or out of seeds, grains, what they have to do, they have to subject them to petrochemical solvents, that's chemicals, high pressures, high temperatures, bleaching agents, more chemicals, deodorizing agents, more chemicals, because they say the people who work on the line of these seed oils, it is so rancid in there that they have to wear respirators because it stinks so bad. So that's more chemicals. Plus the seeds that they use, these are great big crops. Corn, soy, and wheat are the main crop. Those are the main thing that our government right now, and hopefully that's getting ready to change. That's the main thing that our government gives money to, because that's what the food companies want. And food companies have lots of money to pay the government to say things like that. But when they do that, those seeds, they're going to be subjected to weed killers like glyphosate, okay, huge chemicals, pesticides, chemicals, fungicides, chemicals, insecticides, chemicals. So you're getting chemical after chemical. And then the other thing is sugar and high fructose corn syrup. Extremely addictive. They know that. Extremely inflammatory to your body. And that is actually what causes most of this obesity that we have. And so they put sugar and high fructose corn syrup in everything. So it doesn't keep you full. There's no nutrients, and it keeps you hungry all the time. So that's why we want you to stay away from that. So again, and if they don't put sugar and high fructose corn syrup, they're going to put artificial sweeteners. That's more chemicals. They're going to put artificial dyes, these food colorings. That's more chemicals. Artificial flavor, more chemicals. That's all man-made food is nothing but it's artificial frankenfood is what it is, and it's nothing but chemicals. And our body does not like these chemicals. And you can look around at how our bodies are all rejecting us now. That's why we're obese. That's why we're sick. That's why we're on all these medications. So don't make this harder than it has. Basically, stay away from this chemical-laden food and stick to God-made food, real meats, real fruits, and real vegetables. So that's where we're going to talk about right now for the rest of this podcast, explain to you the simple way to look at this. Don't make this hard. It's not hard at all. So we'll just kind of go through some of the typical foods that people tend to eat.
Mm-hmm. And so one of the things people, if we tell them, we suggest that they should try low carb, one of the first foods is Mexican food because of all the chips, that you're going to eat in the shells. So what we do is we take like a bowl, and we call them beef bowls. And
this is what we do at home.
Right. This is what we do at home. And so we're going to take the beef bowl, and we're going to put everything that has a taco or in your enchilada or burrito or whatever you like. So you could do beans, you could do lettuce, tomato, avocado, cheese.
Yep. All that is fine.
Yeah.
All that's healthy.
All that.
It's all animal
products. And it is so good
that
you don't even miss the chips. You have to kind of get used to it because you don't have a crunch, but it's still very delicious. And you still get all the flavors that you love for your Mexican food. And there's other beef bowls you can make too, like a hamburger beef bowl. So you're not going to have a bun, but you're going to have your bowl, your hamburger meat, pickles, lettuce, tomato, mustard or ketchup or...
And maybe not ketchup. Ketchup does put a lot of sugar in it.
You can get ketchup.
Yeah, if you can find one that's sugar-free.
Well, or the high fructose.
Yeah, no high fructose corn syrup.
And then sometimes you kind of just gradually realize you don't like the ketchup anymore. What people do, they decide they don't like all that sweet anymore.
Yeah, that's how we are now.
So anything that has, hamburger or just something like that you could put in a bowl. I mean, we do this with we even will do hamburger and I'll scramble up an egg in like whenever
Or
I've
multiple
cooked.
eggs.
Well, yeah. So, you scramble or you cook your hamburger meat, and then I'll scramble the egg in, or several eggs within the hamburger meat, and then we'll put cheese on top of that.
Well, real quick, that's what's really cool, because when you do this, what we call it a protein bowl, is when you have the scrambled eggs or sausage and you have the scrambled eggs and the ground beef in there with it. We put it in a bowl. I'll put it a little bit in a bowl, or quite a bit in my bowl, and she'll put some in her bowl. But we can have 2 different meals after that. If she wants to have what she's getting ready to describe, go and describe that.
Well, just with cheese. Sometimes that's all I want is just the hamburger, egg, and the cheese. And maybe we'll do some hot sauce, or you could add
So
jalapenos. You could.
you can make it a Mexican bowl, or you can make it like a cheeseburger, like a hamburger cheeseburger. You can put hamburgers, pickles, mustard. So she has her bowl, and then I'll put jalapenos and hot sauce and whatever on mine.
Right.
So I'll have a Mexican bowl, but it had the same base ingredients of just ground beef with scrambled eggs mixed up in it.
Right.
And then if you go out to have your Mexican, then which we didn't talk about that, but that's the other thing, is do the same thing. Just, you can have almost anything you want Mexican. Just don't get the shells, and don't eat the chips before. That's the same ultra processed crud we just talked about. And like, we'll get fajitas, and when we'll get the fajitas, and we just won't get the shells, and then we'll get the large fajitas, and we just split it. So both of it, just all you have on your plate is just all meat. And if you want the guac and sour cream and tomato that comes with it, that's perfectly fine. Go ahead and eat that. That's not the big deal. It's the shell that is the big deal, and the chips that's the big deal.
Right. And, we've talked to people about this, and something you can do, because sometimes it's a little overwhelming. Like, you want to go to your Mexican restaurant, you want to have chips and salsa, and we get that. I mean, we love chips and salsa too, but we got to a point where we just gradually started eating less. I mean, because originally we would go and have 2 baskets. So we're having a basket a piece of chips with the guac or with the salsa, all of that stuff. And then we got to where we actually would even have a discussion about it before we got there. It's like, you know what, let's go eat. We really wanted Mexican. Why don't we not eat as many? Let's just eat
one bowl of chips between us.
Just one. And we got to where it's like, we actually were perfectly happy doing that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, let's just see if we can do even less than the one. And then you get to where you're at with half of one. Well, then we just went out last night and we didn't even eat them.
Yeah, we had Mexican, but we didn't have a single chip. And actually, it didn't even cross my mind. I didn't even, and we were with other people. There were 6 of us out there, and everybody was eating the chips, and it just didn't cross our minds.
Nobody was eating the chips.
Oh, maybe they didn't. That's right. We were the healthy group. So we wasted a couple bowls of chips that they brought us.
Yeah. So, I mean, just want you to know that just because you can't do things perfectly to begin with, that's perfectly fine. Maybe you went to the Mexican restaurant, you had 2 baskets with you, your husband or friends. And it's like, that's okay. You just realize, it's like, I meant to just do the one, just realize you had too many, and next time you'll do better.
And it really does make a difference, because, as I kind of said earlier, when you eat carbohydrates, when you eat flour, when you eat the stuff that are made in chips and shells, when that gets in your body, it gets in very quickly, and it raises your glucose levels, because all that is made with glucose. That's the basic building block. Then when you get glucose in your blood, it raises your insulin levels. Once your insulin levels are high, it does different things with the food that you eat. When your insulin levels are high, if you've had any fat or anything like that in your meal, which you're going to, it's going to make you store that fat. Because if you've been watching my podcast for any time at all, you know that high insulin causes you to store fat, low insulin causes you to burn fat. So you can have that exact same meal, eat the chips, raise your insulin, and put all that in your fat, or have the exact same meal, don't eat the chips, don't eat the shells, and now you're only having fat and meat, and that's neither one of those are going to affect your meat. Does a little bit, but not a whole lot. But that's going to keep your insulin levels low. So now your body can utilize those in other places besides just storing it as fat. So don't belittle how huge this is of just staying away from the breads, the pastas, the chips, all that stuff. Stay away from that and just eat everything else. And you're going to find you can eat almost everything that people tend to eat. Just stay away from that.
Right.
So another hard one to eat is Italian. It's very hard to find something healthy Italian, especially if you go out. You're going to be stuck pretty much to meatballs or maybe the chicken marsala or something like that. So again, look for the things that if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're trying to get off diabetic medications, reverse type 2 diabetes, get off blood pressure medicines, totally get off all that stuff. If you need to do that, if you're that unhealthy, which most people are nowadays, do not belittle this. Just go ahead and say, no, I don't want the pasta. I don't want the rice. I don't want any of this. And just stick with whatever meat options you have.
Mhm.
But if you're at home, you have all kinds of different options.
Yeah. So one of the things we don't make it very often because it's very big and dense, and it's just a lot, is lasagna, which we love lasagna. And if you've heard of Maria Emmerich, she has cookbook, she has a YouTube channel. She shows all these different ways to make foods low carb. And one of the things that she does is I found a lasagna recipe, and you make it exactly the same way with your meat, your marinara sauce. So anytime you're doing these things,
Ricotta
make
cheese.
sure, if you're not going to make a homemade marinara, which I don't, but make sure you look at the ingredients, make sure that it's healthy oils,
Yeah, no seed oils,
fresh
no
not-
sugar,
well,
no
as
fructose corn syrup.
fresh as a jar of marinara can be, but just look for good, clean ingredients. And so look for that. And you're going to add your cheese, ricotta cheese, cottage, whatever you add to your regular lasagna. Just think of your own recipe. And instead of layering,
Because all of that is fine.
right, instead of layering with the noodles, lasagna noodles, you're going to layer with deli meat, the deli chicken. And you want to get the healthier version of the deli, but just the sliced deli chicken. And you're going to layer that instead of the noodles. And you can't even tell at all, because noodles don't really have a flavor. The chicken kind of does, but you have all those other flavors mixed in with your lasagna. You can't even.
The main purpose of it is just to keep it layered. It's mainly to make it look nice on the plate. So a deli chicken layer or a noodle chicken layer, they're both going to layer. One's going to increase your insulin and cause sickness, and one is going to give you protein and fat and nutrients.
Right.
So it's a huge difference.
Right. And then there's spaghetti. So spaghetti, we've done the
Spiralized zucchini noodles, spaghetti squash.
Yes, thank you. Spaghetti squash, using that, or you could use, I can't think of the name of it, but there are egg or
Miracle noodles.
Yes, thank you. Miracle noodles that you can use that are just protein. I get those at a grocery store here called Hy-Vee. I don't know if you have one, but they carry that. They also have a protein. It's an egg white noodle, which is really good. So, and a lot of times it's like, pasta doesn't really have a flavor. It just takes on the other flavors and you have that really nice texture. And so we're kind of missing that texture when we want the noodles. So that's when you can go. It's more expensive, of course, to do those noodles, but it's worth it. Totally worth it. But the zucchini noodles or spaghetti squash or whatever, that's still reasonable.
Yeah, the zucchini, we just got a little plastic spiralizer, cheap, like maybe $10, whatever. And you just hook the zucchini on, wash it, and just crank it, and it spiralized it into little noodles that look like spaghetti, kind of like spaghetti, and then you just cut them up, and I think it's more flavorful because, like you said, pasta doesn't really have a flavor. It's just
the texture.
It's just a texture. So that's what this happens.
Right. Oh, and another thing is there's this one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to have the bread. So that's a hard.
Right.
There are recipes out there for, to try to find some protein bread, but just don't have the bread for right now, and you'll be fine. You'll be full and you won't even miss the bread. So,
right.
And then another Italian is pizza. And so there's all kinds of recipes for pizza, even like the cauliflower crust pizzas, or now they're doing like, if you get ground chicken and you can make a pizza crust out of ground chicken, you just season it. And then you're just going to add your pizza sauce, pepperoni, or whatever you like. Anything you like, you can put on that pizza.
And even if you go out, a lot of places actually have cauliflower crust pizzas now. So you just have to ask for it. Right. But usually it's on the menu.
Yeah, it's like a thin crust pizza. You can't even tell the difference.
And then other things, the most common things people also like to is eating American food, like eating hamburgers and hot dogs and barbecue. And it's all the same thing. We're saying the same thing. And that's what we want you to realize. We're saying the same thing. Hamburger. We'll go out to a restaurant. I'll order the double patty, biggest hamburger they have. I want the, if they have one with bacon and mushrooms and cheese and egg, I get a fried egg on my hamburger every time. It's wonderful. And all I do is say, I don't want a bun. And instead of the French fries, I'll take like steamed vegetables or steamed broccoli or something like that. because of what we just said. That bun and those are one, the bun we already talked about, that's going to raise your insulin levels, and yeah, it's going to be made with soybean oil and sugar and everything else too. So you don't want the bun. The fries, the main thing with eating fried food out is almost every single restaurant you come to and ask, we ask all the time, ask what kind of oil that they fry their foods in. And almost 100% of the time, it's a seed oil. It's a soybean oil or some kind of vegetable oil. And that's what it's not necessarily the fries that you're getting away from. It's not the potatoes, unless you do have, if you do have glucose problems, if you are obese, if you do have type 2 diabetes, you really don't want to eat any vegetable that grows below the ground. That's where you're going to get most of your glucose, because that's the energy for the plant. So when you eat anything that grows below the ground, like potatoes, sweet potatoes, beets, carrots, all that you're going to be putting a lot more glucose in your body. And the whole thing is, you do not want to put in glucose in your body. You never, ever, ever, ever have to put a plant in your mouth ever, and you'll be perfectly healthy. That's never a problem. Your body can make all the glucose it needs out of protein and out of fat. So just think that order your hamburger without the bun. Get the best burger that you could see, double burger. Just get it without the bun, get it without the fries.
And you do need to eat it with your, take a knife and a fork, and just cut it up.
Yeah, that's the main difference. You're going to eat a hamburger with a knife and a fork instead of picking it up. Big deal. I like it better. It feels more like you're getting an actual meal and not some kind of a fast food thing.
Because the bread is so filling, and a lot of times you don't even finish them, especially if you've had the French fries, and now you've had an appetizer, you're going to get the French fries, and now you're going to eat the bun on a hamburger. It's like,
and it's only filling for a short time. That's the problem, because you're going to walk away from that, and all of a sudden you're going to be hungry again because the bread doesn't have any nutrients in it.
Right, and the fries. So, anyway, but you just feel better whenever you leave, when you have eaten a filling meal like that. I don't know, it feels different,
right,
than when you filled up on bread and French fries and all that. You just I remember that, just leaving feeling miserable.
Yeah,
leaving the restaurant. So
and that's the same thing. If you go over cookout, there's hot dogs. Eat the hot dogs. Just don't eat the bun. Barbecue. We love barbecue. We'll go to barbecue. I look forward to going to a barbecue restaurant now, because what I do is I order off the a la carte menu. So I'll just get a pound of smoked turkey or smoked brisket or whatever I'm in the mood for. There, we've done this before, and we kind of don't anymore. But we've gone out to a breakfast. We actually did this at a barbecue restaurant. I ordered a pound of whatever, a meat. She ordered the platter. So she got a bun with the meat on it. Even though she took the bun off, she got the meat, and then she had her two sides, even if they were green beans and buttered broccoli, whatever, it doesn't matter. But she got the two sides, and her meal was more expensive than mine. And she probably got maybe 3 to 4 ounces of meat, and I got 16 ounces of meat for cheaper than she did, because they increased the cost for all these sides and the bread and all that kind of stuff that you're not going to want to eat anyway. So barbecue is always a thing that I like doing, because you can just get meat. And you'll find when you eat this way, a lot of times, eat a couple different types of meat, so you don't just get bored eating the same stuff. And eating this way doesn't mean that you have to eat this stuff. Eggs is another wonderful thing you can do. Eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, but you can do all kinds of eggs. We've already talked about.
We do all kinds of eggs. We eat eggs first. Well, whenever we have our first meal, kind of depends on the day. Could be 10, 11, 12, something like that. 1, 2,
3, 4 that I do.
Yeah. Anyways, so we do eggs. I always do scrambled, put them in butter, and I will pour just a little bit of heavy whipping cream in there, just maybe a tablespoon or a little over a tablespoon, depends on how many eggs I'm making for us. And it just makes it even creamier. I just make the best eggs.
Sure, it is.
I do. My eggs are so good. And we add salt and pepper for sure. And when we go out, if we go to, you go to a hotel, we've been traveling, and they have the eggs. We've asked, and they cook those. They scramble their eggs in soybean oil.
Yeah, they do.
Which they're just not that good. And then they cook them too much, and they are just not good. They are not good. So that's what you want, is to get to a point where you prefer to eat your food at home, because you are making your food so it tastes exactly the way you like it, and it's good for you. And so that's how you want your food. Like there's Chinese food. There's so many different kinds of foods that that you can get healthier versions for them. You get extra vegetables. If you're going to make something at home, get cauliflower rice instead of, steamed rice, which I don't know that
Right.
steamed rice is that bad. I guess it just still raises your insulin.
Yeah, it's still glucose.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as sugar, but it's still glucose.
And it's the same thing like what he's been saying through the whole thing. It depends on where you are in your health journey. Should you just stay away from it until you get off the medications, lose the weight, no longer diabetic, that type of thing.
Right. Because you don't have to eat this way. Get to where you want to be. Get to where when you're on zero medicine, actually, if you're on any medication at all and you think you're healthy, that's, I've said that before. It's like taking out a loan and thinking you're rich. This fact that you're on medication means you are not healthy. However, almost every medication that most people are on are only treating symptoms. They do not try to cure anything. That's a horrible business model. You don't want to get people healthy because now they're not going to buy your products anymore. So when you're eating, get down to where you're on no medications. You don't have any disease. You don't have any inflammation. You don't have any pain. You feel great. I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. I absolutely love feeling this way. And I didn't used to feel this way. Once you get down, you can relax a little bit. You still don't want any man-made products. That's just toxins you never ever have to have. But if you want to start splurging a little bit, and have more vegetables, and if you want to have rice every now and then, that'll be fine. But again, it depends on where you are now and how far away you are from the goal of where you want to be.
And I know that here in our notes, we don't have this, but something else we keep on hand just for ease is beef jerky. You got to, again, because this is going to have ingredients. You're going to have a little label.
Yeah, a lot of them have bad stuff in it, but
it's like brown sugar. I mean, a lot of them have lots of sugar. So just don't get those. We get the chomps. You can find those at a lot of places. Costco, I think Aldi's carries them. I don't know. I've seen it at several places. I've seen chomps. So that's a really good, clean beef. It's a beef stick, but that, just for whenever you find yourself hungry, because we would like for you to not snack,
right?
Because that's just habit or emotions. You're feeding some emotions. You're usually not hungry.
Yeah. The reason why a lot of people snack is because they're used to eating man-made frankenfood that has no nutrients, doesn't keep you feeling full. So about every 2 to 3 hours, because it takes about 2 hours from the time you eat a carbohydrate, it sits in the stomach for only about 30 to 60 minutes. Then it gets in your intestines, gets broken into glucose immediately and put it in your bloodstream. So the whole process from the time you ate it until it's in your bloodstream and raising your insulin levels is around 2 hours. Okay. So by then, now your insulin levels go up. They cause your blood glucose to go down. Remember, it doesn't get rid of blood glucose. It turns it into fat and stores it, but it gets it out of the blood. So now you're hungry again. So what do? You reach around for more of the same frankenfoods that we're doing. And so you're on this constant hungry all the time. When you give your body nutrients, when you eat healthy, when you eat basically animal-based products, few vegetables, few fruits, but mainly animal-based products, there's all kinds of reasons. And I've had all kinds of podcasts talking about this. There are specific reasons. One, you're giving your body nutrients, so it's not going to continue to give that hunger signal. But then it also stimulates that protein and stuff, fat, that stays in your GI tract instead of 2 hours from the time you eat it. It could stay in your GI tract up to 24 to 48 hours after you ate it. And it's continuously stimulating your satiety center, making you feel full. So when you eat nutritious, healthy food, it keeps you feeling full for longer. That's why I have zero problem waking up in the morning, working out, going to work, and I don't eat my first meal until around 2. And even when I eat that, I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry. So that's what food does to you, and that's the difference. So don't think, oh my gosh, I can't eat all that meat every 2, 3, 4 hours. You won't, because now some people try, and that's why they screw up at first, because they think they're hungry. They think that just because they've got this hunger signal is because their body is starving. And so they're so used to eating all this horrible food that doesn't give nutrients that when they start eating healthy food, then 3 hours later, they try it again.
Just out of habit.
Yeah, just out of habit. Yeah. They actually start making themselves not feel very well. It's like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have eaten all that.
Yeah.
And then, but you learn, it didn't take long to realize, oh, it's because I'm eating more nutritious things that keep me feeling full. So I don't have to eat. Really, we recommend 2 to 3 meals at the most. No snacking, because you don't need to snack because you're giving your body everything it needs. And try to eat those meals, your 2 to 3 meals, in a 6 to 8 hour time period. And all the rest of the time, do that. Just eat, drink water, unsweet coffee, unsweet tea. And again, this is all about insulin. So that gives you 16 to 18 hours that you're keeping your insulin levels low because you're not putting anything in your mouth. And if you eat in between there, try to eat stuff that doesn't raise your insulin levels. So it means no man-made food and plants that grow above the ground, and then whatever animal products you want.
Especially if you're just starting out eating, trying to switch your eating and you're like, think you're really hungry for something. For one thing, you could get a big drink of water. Another thing you could do is just pause, think about what you're really thinking about. It's like, why do I want to eat? Just think about that really quickly. Maybe give yourself 20 minutes. If you are still hungry, or you're just pretty darn sure you're still hungry, then like we said, the beef sticks, you can make hard-boiled eggs and just have those on hand. You could always scramble more eggs. We always talk about, are you really hungry? Do you really feel like scrambling eggs? Do you want to eat some sardines? Are you that hungry? It's like, the sardine test. We follow people that do that. And it's like, oh, I am not sardine hungry. So there's just little things. Oh, like this, you could have like even the cheese, the string cheese. Don't recommend it all the time, but these are things you could have. It would be so much better for you to do that than to have a bag of chips or go and grab those crackers or go grab those Oreo cookies or whatever it is that you're used to doing. So, and they're good, but it's just something kind of to snack on. And also if you have kids, it would be really having those beef sticks, cheese, those little cow cheeses and the string cheese. I don't know what those are called, but anyway.
And as far as cheese goes also, and it doesn't matter, cheese is fine, but as you go on, and don't get into the weeds on this, if you want to eat shredded cheese, eat it. But really, if you could stay away from the shredded cheese that's already shredded for you, the healthiest you're going to get is going to get a good block cheese. Get you a really, really good cheese shredder. We've got one that's so easy, so fantastic. It's like $10, $15. I mean, so easy. But if you can get block cheese and shred it yourself, it doesn't take any time at all. I can shred a whole block of cheese in probably 10 seconds. It's no big deal. But it's going to be a lot healthier because the shredded cheese, there's other stuff. Again, we're trying to keep you away from chemicals. There's other stuff they put in there, keep it from caking. They put cellulose in there to keep it from caking, which is basically like eating sawdust, and just other stuff that you really don't need. So try to get you a good block cheese and stick to that.
That's been aged. Like at Costco, they have some really great ones. You just look at it and it says been aged 18 months. It's like, well, that's really some good cheese.
Oh yeah.
That's some good cheese.
And eat 2 ounces. You need to have a 2-ounce block of cheese and you're going to get all the healthy nutrients, the fat, the vitamins, everything that's in that cheese. And it's going to keep you full a lot longer than eating some, whatever people grab for, chips, cookies, candy bars, whatever, anything out of a vending machine, whatever. So, just keeping a couple ounces of cheese around with you, that could help also.
Yeah. Because especially if you have children, these are some good things to have for your kids to be able to nibble on. And you don't have to tell your kids either that you're changing your way you're eating and everybody's going to get healthy. And no, you just do it. And then you have these healthier options for your kids. They're not the best, some of these, like the cheeses and all that, but it's better than what they would normally get.
Right. And as far as hard-boiled eggs, Theresa just makes up like a dozen hard-boiled eggs and keeps them in a bowl in the refrigerator. So if she is hungry, she can just go around and grab 1, 2, 3 hard-boiled eggs, whatever. And you'd be amazed at how much that fills you up.
Oh my gosh.
And it's nutrient dense. I mean, eggs are wonderful. In fact, my next podcast is going to be on eggs because they give you everything you need.
Yeah. Another thing is deviled eggs. I don't have those around a lot because we eat a lot of those.
Yeah.
You can kind of go overboard on some things, even healthy food. So I think that's all the things I could think. Oh, your yogurt. He talks about it all the time. His Greek yogurt.
Oh, I love my Greek. Every single night, I'll take a scoop of Greek yogurt, about a cup probably, a cup of Greek yogurt, and then I'll sprinkle a scoop of protein powder on it. We have chocolate, strawberry, peanut butter, whatever protein powder you use the meat-based protein powder if you can. That's the best. Ours is Equip.
Equip.
Ours is called Equip is what we get. But I'll put a scoop of that in. I'll mix it all in together with the Greek yogurt. And then I'll take and put large flake coconut in that. And that's what we get from Mama Jean's. We buy it in bulk and put that in there. And then I'll sprinkle some cinnamon on top. Then I'll put it in the freezer for about half hour to an hour and pull that out and eat it. You don't have to put it in the freezer by any means. It just kind of makes me slow down eating it a little bit. But it is absolutely wonderful. So you're getting Greek yogurt, you're getting the protein powder, you're getting the cinnamon, you're getting coconuts, you're getting your omega-3s. I mean, everything in there is nutritious. I feel guilty for eating it because it tastes so good, but yet it's highly nutritious. So I really have no problem eating it whatsoever.
Right. So if you hear what things that he's saying that he eats, so if he eats around 2 in the afternoon, and then we'll eat dinner around 5-ish or so, 5 or 6, kind of depends. And then he'll have that in the evening. I don't normally do that in the evening. I might have it earlier, but so we do have like a little, it's 3 times you're eating, but it's
things like that.
Yeah.
So if I eat that at 7, had my first meal at 2 and 7, that's my 5-hour window, and then I'm done. So that I'll end with my Greek yogurt and cottage cheese, and I mean Greek yogurt and coconut.
Right. And some people, they want to eat earlier. They do better with that. I don't do the last, not very often. Occasionally I'll be kind of hungry and eat something like that, but I usually wrap mine up at supper.
Because you really should. You really should stop eating 3 to 4 hours before you go to bed. It's just.
Well, it just depends on where you are. You're healthy.
Yeah.
And, work out. And anyway, so we were just trying to think of everything that we eat, because we were always asked, because people are like, oh, you only eat meat. And it's like, no.
Everybody thinks you just have a plate with a piece of hamburger in the middle of it and nothing else. It's like, no. And it's not like that at all. Just stay away from the carbohydrates.
Right.
And
there's so much more that we haven't even touched that we eat. But this is kind of the basics and what we really do eat all the time.
But the thought process is still there.
Right.
Just stay away from flour, sugar, ultra processed grains, all this man-made stuff. And pasta is a man-made stuff. Bread is a man-made stuff, especially the bread we have now. It's not like the bread over in Europe. They actually have good bread. Here, it's all vegetable seed oils, sugar. I mean, it's all just Franken bread. It's Franken food.
So anytime you're eating something, or you want to eat something that you just think there's no way you could eat it low carb, really look at it. Look at it and see, how could I make this low carb? And there are so many ways that you can make it low carb. I mean, you can go to YouTube and put in low carb anything, and it will pop up for you. So it just takes a little effort in the beginning, but once you get to the habit of having certain things and start making things, and, if you have children, get them involved, helping you out cooking, and it's just so great for them. And
there's great cookbooks out there. There's carnivore cookbooks. There's keto cookbooks. Sure, I talked about Maria Emmerich. There's the one that eats the carnivore book that
The Carnivore Cure by Courtney Luna. I've done some of her recipes, or I've even made videos on those.
So you can Google, get recipes off that. You can buy the book, cookbooks. There's lots of ways to eat this, because people are actually starting to wake up to realize how we've been poisoned for the last 50 years. And I think everybody's looking for solutions of, how can I get these poisons out of me and get nutrition in? So this is just some of the ways that you can do that.
Right. Okay.
So that's all we have. I know this went very, very long, but it's questions that we had from people, and we don't want you making it harder than it is. Really, it's just think about it as nutrition, because that's what this is all about. And you're going to find that when you eat for nutrition, you will also lose fat, not just weight. Like a lot of these people are starving themselves, like the Ozempic people and all these. They're just not giving themselves any nutrients. So the body's eating everything they have to try to save its organs. It's eating its fat for its energy, but it's also eating its protein. It's eating the muscles for the protein. And that's not what you want. You want to keep your muscle mass and lose your fat, and get the inflammation and glucose and insulin out of your body is what you want to do. So just think of it that way. And hopefully this helps somebody out there, and they will know what to eat now when it's that time. So that's what we have for now. And so, as always, have a fantastic week and make simple, healthy choices to live a quality life.